Good morning, my name is Linda Williams. I teach kindergarten at the elementary, and I am also a member of the curriculum committee this year. This morning I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Gabe Gubin. Gabe has been a part of the BCS family since 1999 and has served in a variety of capacities, from high school English teacher, soccer coach, international trip leader, and now as an administrator as our principal down at the elementary campus. He has an MA in Education and a BA in English from Bethany University. And apparently, the 400 plus students and staff that he works with on a daily basis at the elementary, in addition to an amazing wife and 4 great kiddos at home, and getting up early a few mornings a week to come up here and play basketball with a group of guys, including my husband, aren't enough. And he is currently enrolled in a doctorate program for educational leadership through Liberty University. So he is a busy, busy guy. Gabe's highest priorities as an educator are to build a strong sense of community, maintain a K-12 focus, and provide a holistic educational approach. He has titled today's keynote, Called to Teach. Please welcome Gabe Gubin.
Good morning, teachers. I'm actually in the very back here, if you want to turn around. Hi, good morning. When I taught up here for 8 years, this was my absolute favorite spot. I was a total back row guy, and I know what it's like sitting here enduring these keynotes, and I have to tell you, if we're being honest, we are the worst students ever. I mean, we have no patience, we're critical of everything that happens. It's hilarious. I remember my second year, I was sitting back here, right back here with Ryan Hinn, and we were doing our typical self-talking during the presentation, feeling like we shouldn't, but kept talking. And afterwards, Mr. Wilson, our principal at the time, pulled us aside, and we were corrected. And we learned our lesson as second-year teachers. My first year, we were down at the Brandon campus. It was '99, and it was kind of cool moving up here to the Skyway campus, being a rookie teacher, and experiencing that. A lot has changed, but not everything. A lot has changed, but not everything. So I'll make my way down front now so you don't have to strain your necks. I'm excited today to talk about technology and education and how the two interface and work together. And I'm super excited a little bit later on to talk about what I feel is absolute best cutting edge device ever. I haven't even talked to Mike about this. I've been really thinking about it. So we're gonna get to really hone in on that best device in a little bit. It's not an Apple product, by the way, so sorry about that. At the elementary, I love to do a lot of the chapel teaching, and in the chapel time, we do something called Today's Total Truth. And elementary teachers, you know how we do this. It's something, I'm going to slide this over so it's it's the main point, the big idea, what we're there for. And when we do it, I'll say to the students, okay, students, now we're going to focus on, and they're trained, and they say, Today's Total Truth. Thank you, elementary teachers. So the rest of you, now that you know what we're doing, as we get started today, we're going to focus on Today's Total Truth. And today's Total Truth has to do with this call to teach. Certain aspects of education are continually evolving. We can't keep up with the rapid pace of change. Some are not. Some are not. We must understand this and act accordingly in light of it. We have to discern what's changing, what's not, hold on to the good, hold on to the core, hold on to the foundation, and everything else that's changing, we have to do our best to keep up with it. I'm going to go back to the logo. I absolutely love what Jeremy did with this. If I've already talked to you about the logo, you can't answer this, but do you notice anything here with Teach going on? Anybody? It's the App Store. Cool. Very observant, but you're missing something. What's this tech? Tech. Teach. Where's the emphasis here? It's not on technology. It's on you. It's on the teacher. You're called to teach. I love that. I gave that concept to Jeremy, and he worked on that, and I thought he did a masterful job pulling that together. Certain aspects of education are evolving, some are not. We must understand this and act accordingly in light of it. A lot has changed, but not everything. The call. Do you remember the call? Do you remember what it was like when you first became a teacher? See, the call and that unction, that yearning, that visceral, what you were born to do call, that doesn't go away. It's something you were born with. It's something that God has given to you. That doesn't change. That part of you is invaluable. Who you are as a human connector who understands students as souls, who you see them in the eye and you see their hearts and you have a passion for them. That doesn't change. That's the invaluable, immutable you. It transcends time and place. Thomas Aquinas, back in the medieval time period, way back when, understood this, and he said, a person who was called to teaching in a way that was similar to the priest's vocation or called to serve. The teacher's service to humanity was an act of love. The human connection, relationships, community doesn't change. I asked Ryan Nin, who's got his MA in theology, to send me the etymology of a couple different words. So he looked up call for me, and it's 3 pages long. I boiled it down. And it's a divine call or a personal commission. Paul actually, it's used very scarcely. Paul is the one who used it seldomly. And when he did use it in the context of spiritual gifts like Romans 12, which we'll get to in just a moment, it was that personal commission, that divine call. You have that. You have that call. You were born with that, many of you. You knew you were going to be a teacher at a very young age, and you haven't wavered on that. Well, what about teaching? Here's the etymology of teaching. It's from Romans chapter 12. We have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. If it is teaching, then teach. In light of all these different spiritual gifts, leadership, serving, whatever it is, you look, and a lot of you, when you read this, when you look at Romans 12, this resonates with you. And every time you go through that, you look at it, and you hear about spiritual giftings, and you hear teach, you light up inside because you know that's what you were wired to do. I love this. To accept or extend the hand to. Think about that in your teaching context, in your relationship. For those parts that are rock solid and don't change, your teaching is an extension of your hand to pull someone up and have them come alongside you and lead them along in your journey. Isn't that awesome? I love that description. Call. Do you know? How do you know? When did you know? This call. I mean, for some of you, you didn't discover it until you were 20 years into industry, and one day, aha, God's calling me out of this. Some of you knew when you were 7 years old and you were sitting your brother and sister down and lecturing and pretending you were their third grade teacher. I know some of you did that because you were born with that ability and it's not wavering, it's not going away. Do you remember that call? Any of you, how many of you were in that situation before you ever graduated from high school? You knew that was you. You knew you were going to teach. I'm going to put one of you on the spot, and if one of you is willing to share, just like within a 30-second time frame, Jan, you want to share? Just shout it out and tell everybody what that call was like for you and how you knew you were called to teach.
Okay, when I was 7 years old, I said, I'm going to be a special ed teacher. I started teaching my girls to write with my right hand because I was left-handed. And I taught them to speak, and I taught them to write really, really poorly with the wrong hand. And I was a special ed teacher for 11 years, and then God called me to be a mom, and now I'm a librarian. But I teach the same way I taught the souls when I was 7.
Because you were called to do it. You were born with that ability, Jan. That's not going away. And if you try to get away from it, you're going to come back to it because it's such a part of you. Well, how about this? You know, here's the question. How do you know you're called to teach? You know you're called to teach if you ever watch one of these movies and imagine yourself as the main character, as the teacher. English department, there's a ton of movies, so you have 3, okay? Dead Poet Society, Finding Forrester, Freedom Riders. How many of you teared up when you watched Freedom Riders? I know you did. Elementary teachers, the Ron Clark story. Some of you have seen it. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Social studies, you're not forgotten. The Emperor's Club. Remember the Emperor's Club? No response, nothing. Okay, there we got Lindsay. Math and science, I'm like scratching my brain. Edward James Olmos, Stand and Deliver, baby. Remember that? Administrators, where are you? Raise your hands. Lean on me. Conservatory, where are you? Jack Black. School of Rock, baby! Okay, for you more serious guys, Mr. Holland's Opus. PE teachers, you had a ton to choose from, but how about remember the titles? How many of you saw yourself coaches as Denzel Washington? Right? Or Coach Carter. Okay? That was pretty fun. Then Bible department, I'm like, Jesus movie, I don't know. It works, right? Oh. I make myself laugh most of the time. I think my jokes are funny. Sometimes people have a hard time understanding my humor. You've seen these pictures, the iPad initiative. iPads are everywhere. Technology is everywhere. Valley's always been very cutting edge. What's the role of technology? I'll tell you what, man. Technology is flipping things on their head. The rate of change with technology, every industry is affected by this, and we almost don't know what to do. Because we've never had, the progression is going up and up and up and up, and we're holding on, trying to keep up and make sense of all of this. So in the one sense, there's these uncharted opportunities. I mean, we were in the teacher meeting on Wednesday, and we do an app minute every day, and it's unplanned, impromptu, and I say, all right, teachers, anything new? They click on the Apple TV, and they project their app or whatever it is. I mean, can you imagine back in the day? You couldn't project, right? And now, you can have 15 people project within a minute. You could jump on Apple TV. I mean, the opportunities, we acclimate so fast that we forget the resource of tools that we have and the uncharted opportunities here. Mike Hanna, I don't know if you're here. Are you here, Mike? I'm going to put him on the spot. He's sick, that's too bad. Well, maybe the principals remember in our one-to-one committee meeting we had for several years, Mike used to harp on us about this one point about technology. Remember what it was? Lisa, when we were talking about tools, do you remember what he would always tell us? He'd always say, don't think about the tool first. Think about the process. Think about your goals first. Because we get so enamored by the latest and the greatest. And it's, I mean, that's how Apple and other companies know how to market. They know how to wow us. And we get so consumed in this and the glamour and the glitter and the apps and whatever that we forget the process. We forget why we're doing it. So Mike would always talk to us, start with the goal. Technology is a means to an end. It's not the end all. I love that we're an iPad school, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of things the iPad can't do. There's a lot of things the iPad can't do! I love the iPad! But it's a tool. Technology is a tool. If you went away and your calling went away, there's nothing. Nothing without you. Nothing without you. Coffee with Jaco. Jaco Vanderhooy. He's a 4th grade parent of Nick Hughes and Mr. DePaul's class, and he's a 6th grader here at the upper campus. Talk about God moments in your life where you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God was ordaining something. So I can never get anything done. Linda said, I'm busy, it's true. I go to work, and literally one day I was trying to catch up on the 50 emails from the day before and that morning, and I'm at my desk, and my computer's here, and the door's here, and I start typing, and someone walks in. They leave, finally I can get back to work. 2 words, not even 2 words, not even a thought. 5 people in a row, and I was so stressed. 30 minutes later, I could finally get back to work, though the real work is being with people. Though the real work is being with people. You know, I can't ever get anything done, so if I'm going to work, I can't do it at home either. I have to go somewhere. So I go to Starbucks, and being in school, I typically get most of my homework done at Starbucks. So one morning, Cliff had canceled our senior leadership meeting, and I got my life back that day. Oh, Cliff, you're here! Oh, take that back! Sorry! No, I love our senior leadership meeting. That was a planned joke. And I knew you'd be here. But I had this like golden nugget of time, 4 hours, unstructured, unplanned. So I take the kids and I drop them off. How many of you have ever done elementary drop-off or pickup? Okay, so you know how this works. I take them to the curb, go all the way forward, drop them off, wave goodbye. And I'm in the car leaving the school, weird feeling, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some work done. Where am I going to go? And I didn't know where I was going to go, and I had the whole day, and I didn't want to sit at one place. So you know in your mind when you're making decisions, your brain just fires, and okay, how about Starbucks? Well, I don't want to go to the one by our house because they're probably going to switch. And you're just thinking. Then I think, okay, fine, one closer to here, and there's the one on Kirkner and Lee, and then there's one on Baskin, and there's one on the other side of Baskin. I don't know where I'm going, and I'm just sort of driving. You know those moments. And I end up at the one next to Whole Foods on Bascom and Hamilton. And then I get some work done, right? So I get my drip coffee and my sausage breakfast sandwich, which I got one this morning. I only had half of it. I was kind of nervous. Sitting in my bag back there. It's probably still warm. I'll eat it after. But I sit down, and I literally open the screen, right? And there's Mrs. Vanderhooy. Oh, hi, Maureen. You know, that thing. Oh, great. Another interruption, right? And so we start talking, and then her husband's in line, and he's looking over at me going like this, and I'm like, I already got my drink, but thank you. Then he does it again, and I'm like, oh no, I already got my drink, but thank you. He's like, no, I need my wife's drink order. Oh. Sorry, I thought you were trying to buy my drink. And he gets a drink and he sits down. And Jaco is a trip. And you're going to meet him today if you go to the Prezi presentation. He is one of the premier Prezi designers in the world. Buku dollars for him to design one presentation. Thank God he took my raw version of today's presentation and put it together for free, so I'm very grateful for that. But he's amazing. He's a Dutch immigrant living here in the U.S., design, sales, and we just start talking. He's a storyteller, he's philosophical, he's a lecturer, he's gone back to Europe and given a tour. I love the guy. We just hit it off. We talked and talked and talked. And I think, my computer's sitting there and I know the work I'm supposed to be doing, but we were in the moment, right? Talking, and I loved it. And I started talking about today. I started talking about technology, teachers, and Mike's concept to think about the goal first and then the tools. And he's like, oh, goosebumps. He's like, I go through the same thing in sales all the time. And if you did your homework and you read the link I sent you last night, you know what I'm talking about. He has this formula. You math teachers, you're going to tear this apart when we get to it in just a moment, but that's okay. We'll endure it. He talks about what he's encountering in sales, and I said this is a global, it's not just education that's dealing with technology, right? So I'll give one quick example. We're talking about tools, and he's like, yeah, people think that LinkedIn is the end-all in the business world in sales. And he goes, LinkedIn's a tool. If you can't network, if you can't connect with people, the tool means nothing. So people are banking on technology thinking that will do everything for them, but it's an extension of this ability or this skill set you have here, and the tool exponentially magnifies its effect. So that's the role that technology plays in education. Is it the center? No. Is it critical? Yes. But we can't get away from the fact that there's certain core aspects of education that we need to hold on to. Here's the formula. This is the cool part. I love this. 21st century quality Christian education. Skills and the tools. Any of you counselors or high school teachers know about Highland's ability test? I know the counselors do, that's why I say that. But we do Highland's ability test. Nathan, will you tell everyone really quickly why we do Highland's? What it's for? So just give them like a 30-second description of how we do it.
The focus of how God wired them and designed them, and what they're passionate about, and what they're interested in.
I like that, how God desired them and wired them, and we call that not skills, but abilities. Okay, I didn't understand the difference between abilities and skills. And in this formula, abilities isn't reflected, but we're going to put abilities and skills together. The call, that burning desire, what you were born with, that's an ability. No one taught you how to teach Shanna to those dolls. You just knew how to do it, right? But there's certain skill sets you acquire along the way that you didn't know through reading, through watching, through observation, whatever it is. And those skill sets become the bedrock. They become, along with the abilities, become that core competency. So this, in terms of education, this is you here. Your ability to connect, your ability to understand human interaction, your ability to inspire, your ability to think and to get others to think, your ability to create and inspire others to create, your encouragement, all of that. It's innate and developed. It's abilities and skills. You can't start with tools and then try to put that in. So the iPad is an extension of who you are. It has an exponential effect on your value as a human connector. Content, curriculum, methodology, how we teach, the process, plus organization. Now, how many of you actually had a chance to look at the formula last night? Where was organization? It was a dividing factor. It made me mad. I'm like, no! Because they saw organization and the bureaucracy and the, no, not right now, maybe later, we have a process. That's what leaders do, right? We slow things down. And so he had it as a dividing factor, but I moved it up. What's the opposite of division? Thank you, I'm glad you got that right. Multiplication. But in the same way, yes, we are guilty sometimes as school leaders of slowing things down and having processes and bureaucracy. And it's for a reason. It's to control in a healthy way because you need to have some structure. So compromise, I added organization in. Because we do work in an amazing school setting where there's a lot of support for technology and tools, and we are pushing innovation, and sometimes we're pushing you. So this is quality teaching in tech. Do you see the role that technology plays in all of this? All right, here's the challenge. Oh man, iPads. What's my place? I remember 5 years ago it was online learning. Well, I'm obsolete as a teacher. I don't have a place anymore. The computer, it's taking over my job, right? That's like the circa 2008 mindset, right? But if we're honest, there's still some of that fear and trepidation, and we're trying to find our identity as educators. We don't know. I mean, we're learning, we're finding that we're getting our niche, but we don't know. So how does all this make sense? So if you bank your hat on the fact that, you know what, forget technology, forget modernization, forget the latest fads, forget whatever's trendy. I'm hunkering down, and I'm going to be the human connector, because I know these kids, and I love them, and I know how to reach them the way nobody can. Okay, good. But what happens to the formula if you neglect everything else? What happens to the impact on quality Christian education? And I'm not diminishing that. That's the bedrock. That's the foundation. Who you are is so critical. But if you say, I'm not going to learn how to use this iPad. If you say, I'm going to keep my curriculum from 10 years ago. If you've never taken a credential course and don't understand instructional methodology, if you have terrible leadership, well, guess what? Your effectiveness is diminished. So you can't just take one and not the other. You have to do them all. And thank God for His grace and strength that enables us and equips us to do that in such a way that honors Him. It's not easy. But doing the work the right way to impact the most lives is not going to be easy. Don't get into this thinking that it's going to be easy. It's a spiritual battle, and the enemy knows he's winning souls every day. Kids are lost in technology. They're gone. We've got to pull them out. We've got to get them back. That's our job. That's why we're here. Here's our kids. This is who we teach. Boomlets are born after 2002, so those are my literal kids. 1982 to 2002 is the millennials. I was in Dallas about a year ago, almost exactly, at a Worldview conference put on by Summit. And George Barna's retired as president of Barna Research Group, leading Christian research group in the world, I would say. Maybe you can argue, but this young, hip, relevant guy, Dave Kinnaman, is taking over, and I love his stuff. I want Dave to come and talk to us someday. He's amazing. And he gave this overview of the millennials and who they are, all based on research. And this is our students. Epistemology. What's right and wrong? What's knowledge? They don't know. You know that you ask your students today at our school if cheating is wrong? Christian kids that grew up in Christian homes? A lot of them are going to tell you it's okay. God's in my pocket. I control him. Who am I? A split soul. The digital world, the real world, they don't know the difference sometimes. It's easier for them to connect via phone than broken. They don't trust us. Maybe rightly so, maybe not. Whatever. They don't trust us. Because I could sit here and lecture about Columbus discovered the ocean blue in 1492, and they could pull out their phone and say, well, actually, did you know? Your research is 5 years old, teach. This is who we're doing. I hope you don't cringe at this one, Cliff, because you love time, talent, and treasure. Such a part of who they are. It's such an identifying part of who they are. They don't come to mom and dad. They don't come to you. They go to their friend for advice on the real stuff. We've got to change that. Kind of sad. Being literate no longer involves being able to read and write. The literate of the 21st century must be able to download, upload, rip, burn, chat, save, block, Skype, IM, and share. I love that look of wonder. Love that look of awe. What I like about this too is they're interacting together. And they're engaged, but they're not alone. The old model, we don't need to spend too much time on this because you've been harped on, especially elementary teachers. I know I can attest to this, but the teacher in front, the fount of all knowledge, we've got it, we lecture, you listen, pull out the worksheet, old methodology, traditional, Traditional, rows, don't talk, be quiet, shut up, listen. I've got it, you get it, take the test, done. Does that work? No. And I'm not going to spend any more time on this because we've hammered this message into you. The new model. Relational, human connecting, focusing on your strengths, honing in on who you are, and magnifying that important fact. The teacher's role in quality Christian education. Man, I love 21st century education. I love the wealth of resources we have. I love the articles. Jeremy sends us articles all the time. I love the research. I love the reading. I love the discussions. You know, what is it? What does it mean to teach in this new model, this new paradigm, as you've maybe heard in some of your discussions as faculty or in your readings, you know? We're being pushed into this, whether we like it or not. The old model is being attacked, and probably rightly so. Okay? I did, yes, rightly so. So your role in all of this, you're the filter. So much information now, right? So much information now. We need to know how to teach. We have to give our students the ability and the skill set to filter out and understand what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. You're a differentiator. Man, it's hard. You have 30 kids. One's a future, Harvard grad. One is future West Valley 20-year route, right? And you've got to teach them all every day, and they've got to be excited. They've got to want to come back for more. They've got to be engaged all day long. That's your job. It's not easy. You're the encourager. You're the assessor. You're giving feedback. I got to tell you, with my online program, I turn in those major reports, right? And I'm logging in like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day until I get my comments back from my instructor. I want to know how I did. I so desperately want to know how I did. Tell me how I did. And what we do in the old model is we get their essay and they get it back 2 weeks later when they've forgotten about it. I want to know how I did right away. And I lose that passion for feedback and assessment if I wait. Facilitator, goal setter, the guide by the side. You come alongside, you extend the hand. You're the coach. You're the environment manager. That's an interesting one, right? The environment manager. You're the feedback giver. You're the leader. And you're the friend. That's your role in all of this. A lot has changed, but not everything, right? A lot has changed, but not everything has changed. I go back to the millennials and think about our students and I think about their needs, and their needs have absolutely 100% definitely changed. I was sitting at home about, maybe it was the spring about a year ago, and our 6-year-old at the time, Brandon, who's now 7, we're sitting on the couch and he says, "Dad, what's a bastard?" Thankfully I didn't what were you, I've never, none of that, right? But I just listened and I'm like, oh. Where did you hear that? Well, I was playing Angry Birds and I clicked the YouTube links and I was watching the videos and they called one of them a bastard and they thought it was funny. I want to know what it is. They have the iPad with us right there. We control it, we manage it, we watch it, we know what they're doing. I've got all the lockdowns and this and that. Angry Birds, bastard, in a tightly controlled environment. Now imagine our students who have access and freedom, right? One thing I liked about that Barna presentation by Kinnaman is he gave hope. And he gave 4 different little grains of, or maybe bigger than grain, just concepts on how we could help these kids. He said the research shows that parents have the greatest impact, and if parents can engage their kids, that's going to help. He showed that a clear sense of purpose or calling, which many of you know as teachers and we've talked about, a living, breathing, real, and relevant Jesus, which they see in you. And then this one I like, the caring adult, other than a parent. That's what you bring to the table. Del Tar was there at that conference, and he shared a little bit about this generation. He's the originator of the Truth Project, and he's working right now on developing a new project about the heart, which he feels is our innermost thoughts, and thoughts shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our values, and our values and our beliefs shape our actions. And it was, this was the Worldview Conference, so it was totally fascinating. And after Kinnaman had shared about the millennials,
and the depressing, synopsis of who they are, he got out there and he started talking about how we connect and how we teach. And he gave this illustration where there was a dad that brought a couple of teenage boys to a shooting range. And they're providing a little instruction and tutorial, and the shooting range manager brings the boys up, and they're going to be holding these shotguns, which they've probably never done before, and they're your typical sagging pants, goofing around, not really paying attention kids, right? And so he's trying to get their attention, and he's using Hal, his little pumpkin here, with the pretty face carved into it as his helpmate in instructing them in the importance of having safety when you're handling these guns. And he's going through and talking about the safety and how to handle this weapon, and they're not listening, right? They're not paying attention because it's talk, 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 and they're sick of talk, 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 talk. They don't want to hear it. And all of a sudden, gun goes off, Hal explodes. They straighten up. They sober up. And they listen. Because in a very real moment, they understood what was going on. If we just talk, 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 what do they care? But if we could create meaningful learning experiences that tap into their reality, that's what they're going to get. It's hard to do. It takes a lot of effort. Lindsay has an article she wrote a couple years ago. I read the whole thing. I loved it. I boiled it down to relationships, community, and connecting. And she says we are beings with souls who are created to exist in community. That's the part that you bring to the table. A lot has changed, but not everything. The bedrock, the foundation. It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. The master teacher. I love this. The master teacher. 21st century educator. Cutting edge. Right? What we're aspiring to be. I'm challenging you. I'm pressing you. I'm encouraging you. I'm affirming you. But we're painting a picture of what could be as educators today, right? Master teacher. What does it look like? I think I've got it here somewhere. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this description to you. And while I read, just listen for the elements of a master teacher. The master teacher's method of instruction was informal and largely conversational. Using tutorial methods, he conversed with the students individually or in small groups. Sometimes he gave short lectures, led discussions, and asked and answered questions. He assigned the passage they were to study, identifying and commenting on key points, and worked with the students to arrive at the major ethical principles they conveyed. To individualize his method, the master teacher trained himself to be a good listener so that he could know his students well. In contrast, listening on the part of the teachers and students is often underemphasized in schools today. Listening requires quiet and silence and intense concentration on the part of the listener. The tendency to value activity over quiet and talking over silence has diminished the importance given to listening. Making students feel comfortable in his presence, the master teacher encouraged them to identify their goals and expectations and asked them what they hoped to learn to implement them. He assessed students individually, noting their strengths and weaknesses. After analyzing students' personalities and characters, the master teacher individualized his expectations of students' performance in order to reinforce their strengths and help them overcome their weaknesses. Should a student be inclined to act too quickly or impulsively, we have them. He counseled him to defer action until he had reflected on the consequences his actions were likely to have and to seek advice of wise persons before acting. However, if a student was overcautious and reluctant to act, the master teacher urged him to act quickly and to take decisive action. Don't open these yet. This is a copy of what I just read. We'll get a few of them out there, and there's more if you want to take one with you. Let's see if I can reach the back rows there. Oh, too much wind resistance. Maybe one more. All right, so don't open them. Don't open them! They're just like your students. All right, so 21st century education, you've heard it before, you got a recap today. What did we hear there? This is who we want to be, right? The master teacher, what'd you hear? What? Listen! Individualized. Relationship assessed, I love it. This is what we're getting to. This is who we want to be. Questioning, goals, identifying goals, individual goals. Every student. It's a lot of work. What else? Come on, think. Short lectures. I love it. He varied his instruction. 60 minutes.
Encourager.
Encourager, I love it. What else? Informal. Peer, small groups. Conversational. Be a filter.
Caring.
Caring. Open up those pieces of paper and tell me who that's describing. You're going to have to fish around and dig a little. I crossed out the name that was originally there and wrote an MT for master teacher. Shout it out once you figure out who this describes. What? What? No, not Jesus. Who is it? Confucius. A lot has changed. But not everything. The master teacher, the bedrock, the foundation, the call, the burning desire to connect doesn't change. Doesn't change. It's who you are. I don't want to end. Told you we were going to talk about the best device ever. Got it. 10 minutes, I'll be done.
5.
This won't be Lord of the Rings. This won't be Lord of the Rings with 7 different endings.
No
I
trilogy.
hated that. I'm like, can you just end the movie? Final thoughts. Best device ever. Faster. I'm just so excited because I haven't even talked with Mike about this. Processing speed way faster. Creativity potential unlimited. Individual. Color choices, different shapes and sizes. Pretty cool, huh? If you're smart and you've been tracking this morning, you know what I'm talking about. Right? It's you. It's you. It's you. It's you, David. It's you, Jason. It's you, Steve. It's you, Mark. It's you, Kathy, Cheryl, Jana, Susan, Dave, Sandy. It's you. Nothing can beat you. Nothing. I love this quote. It sums it all up. I'll let you read it. We love our devices. We get so attached to our devices. They come and go. Dust to dust, ash to ash, and you can't take it with you. Live for the unseen. Live in the moment. Invest in people. Nothing else matters. Progressive teachers who adapt, who love their kids, who have that calling, who act it out, who don't neglect the importance of tools, who understand that if they haven't gone through a credential program, they better get in one or get equivalent training. The teacher that understands how every part works together can change lives and make an impact. I mean, you're going to have the kids eating out of your hands if you can grab a hold of this. If you can do the work you need to do, you can change one life, you can change this school, you can change this city, you can change this world. Don't think it's not possible. Jesus was one man that started with 12. And man, he was a 21st century educator. Man, he was the master teacher. He taught in reality. His parables, the kids are stupid, they don't get it. Oh, Jesus, we don't get it. Okay, sit down, let me explain. Okay? Constantly, right? He got it. And you can too. I mean, if you get a hold of this, you're going to want them coming back for more. Coming back for more. Come back tomorrow. Let's do this.
Mornings, I've been busting my ceremony thing.
Plenty.
I learned plenty. I learned how to sand your decks, maybe. Wax your car, paint your house, paint your fence. I learned plenty, right?
Not everything is a thing. Turn aside.
What?
Come here. Show me sand floor. Sand floor. on the floor. Show me paint the house side, 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 side. Show me wax on, wax off. Cut! That! 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 Show me sand the floor. Cut! Base! Base! Base!
Come back tomorrow, or in 2 days if you're a high school or junior high teacher. But it's the same point, right? Come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow. Hungry for more. If you don't put the work in, if you don't put the effort in, it's not going to happen. We can coast, we could go on cruise control, and we'll have an okay product. It's a formula. But do we want an okay product? I think God's kingdom deserves more than that. I know God's kingdom is more than that. One last thought. One final thought, I promise. Paul's concept of living epistle is perfect, right? Epistle is a letter. And in his writings, he reflects over and over, we're living epistles, we're living epistles, we're living epistles. Well, guess what? It's not paper. It's not logos. It's not text. It's not digital. It's living. It's you. It's the human connection. A lot has changed, but not everything. Let's pray. Lord, you're the same yesterday, today, and forever. You don't change. We are so grateful to work in an industry where we are shaping lives. It's why we're here. It's what motivates us. It's what burns inside of us. It's what compels us to come back day after day and to do it again because we love these kids. And Lord, there is so much happening right now. Technology is an amazing tool, but man, we've got to be careful. We've got to navigate these waters. And we need your wisdom and discernment to do it. We don't want to lose one. Help us to understand, Lord, the proper role that technology plays. Help us to be experts in this area. Help us to learn. Help us to grow. Stretch our minds, Lord. Pray that you would make us the sort of teachers that change individual lives. I love our kids beyond a shadow of a doubt. Lord, I pray for every teacher here that you would make them a living epistle. In Jesus' name.